Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about how much homeschooling costs and a couple of ways you can save money while doing it. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, then hit that thumbs up button and stay tuned. So for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharia Maurice and I'm a homeschooling mama to 3 kiddos, ages 2, 4, and 6. And I like sharing videos on how you can simplify your homeschool to save you time, money, and your sanity. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, then be sure and hit that subscribe button, turn on the little bell icon so that you can be notified of my latest videos. And if you'd like to get a behind the scenes look at our homeschool, you can follow us over on Instagram at the Sharia Maurice. So, how much does homeschooling cost? That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? So today I am going to answer that for you, and I'm going to do it real fast. According to the National Home Education Research Institute, they estimate about $600 per student in the house per year. So in my experience, $600 per child at home each year that you're homeschooling is generally pretty accurate. Now, does it actually cost that much for every year thereafter? No. My thought is basically, if it's your first year homeschooling, it's about $600 per student that you're homeschooling that first year. But all the consecutive years thereafter, it does not have to be that much. So how much you spend for homeschooling really depends on you and your choices in your homeschool. Some people can make it pretty darn expensive whenever you start adding in homeschool co-ops, if there's a monthly or yearly tuition that you have to pay for that, or if you add in tutoring or any extracurricular classes that cost monthly fees or whatever. And then, of course, there's your curriculum and your homeschooling supplies and then any kind of field trip. So all of those things add up, of course, over the entire school year. So if you are a part of a homeschool co-op that is free, you're saving money right there. If you're paying a tuition like Classical Conversations, where you have to pay per student per year or term or whatever. So depending on which kind of co-op you're a part of, you could be spending a lot of money or you could be spending no money. It's really up to you. And then as far as whether you want to farm out your classes or subjects to tutors or any kind of outside help that costs money, that's up to you as well. If you want to just keep it in-house and you teach everything, then you can save yourself money that way. So really how much you spend on homeschooling is up to you and kind of how you wish to manage your homeschool. If you're doing it all, then likely you'll save money, but maybe not your sanity. But that's okay. So another thing that you might want to consider is that while yes, it is kind of expensive up front, especially if you need to get your homeschool supplies and your organizational materials and all of that stuff to kind of house it, once you get that set up, then you're pretty much golden, and it's just kind of like maintaining or keeping up with those supplies and materials and things. So I know that the very first year that I started homeschooling, I had a budget of $500, and that was for one student. That was my oldest. And I met that, but that included the organizational materials to house everything in, because I hadn't been homeschooling at this point, and I needed a place to store everything. And then some of those things were big items, like I needed a shelf, a storage shelf to put everything in. I needed a printer that I could rely on. And so some of these things were big purchases that I don't need to purchase anymore, obviously, because I have them. So in the long run, I'm not going to be buying another storage case for all of our curriculum supplies because I already have it, right? And then in regards to curriculum, this also is really up to you. It can get super expensive where you're paying top dollar for the materials and the resources that go along with the curriculum. Some curriculum packages are pretty darn expensive, upwards of $150, just depending on what you choose. And so I do know that you really don't have to sacrifice quality in regard to cost. You can still get good, affordable curriculum. You don't have to have the top dollar curriculum out there just because it's, you know, more expensive. Doesn't mean it's going to be a better curriculum necessarily for your child and yourself personally. So that is really kind of, it can be hit or miss with that. You might end up purchasing something that doesn't work out for you and you have to try something else. And so those kind of costs can fluctuate just depending on how much you mess up or how much you choose the wrong curriculum. So it does help to do your research in as much as you can. I mean, I did all sorts of research before I chose the curriculum, and after a couple years of following a certain curriculum, it just no longer worked out for us. And so then we had to switch to another curriculum, which is cheaper, and overall it's a better experience for us. So you can research as much as you can, but there comes a point where you just have to invest and hope for the best. And really it takes a lot of prayer and guidance. And even if you do feel like you got the wrong curriculum, God will use that and you will learn from it and you will discover what works for your family and what doesn't, and you can go from there. So homeschooling curriculum doesn't have to be super expensive. In fact, there are programs and entire curriculums out there that are totally free. For example, The Good and the Beautiful has the free online PDF versions to their math and language arts curriculums, and they are wonderful. We are using both of them for our family, and that didn't cost me a thing. Another free online curriculum is, of course, you've heard me mention it before, Ambleside Online. And I'm going to share in, I think, the next video how I go about planning and preparing specifically for Ambleside Online and how I make it meet our homeschool in particular. But everything that they include on there is free, and the books are free online through various resources. So this is another way you can save money, is by, first of all, I've mentioned the library. The library is like your main hub of information. Of course, you can even get curriculum there. You can get all that you need to study a certain subject. You can pull a unit study together from materials that you have at the library. You don't have to purchase them from the bookstore. So that saves you money as well. And then there are educational DVDs. The library is just a wealth of material and resources that are totally free for you for your homeschool. So definitely the library is a way that you can save money. And then there are ebooks online. So the library also offers ebooks, sometimes through apps, sometimes they have devices that you can rent out. There are many different ways that you can access ebooks. There's ebooks through the library, free. There's ebooks through Kindle. I know that you can download ebooks from like Gutenberg or Project Gutenberg or Google Books online. You can download them to your Kindle totally for free as well and get free books that way. So there are so many ways that you can get free books, free read aloud books, free literature books, free books to study a subject. Like, you can truly make it free. And then of course there are audio books as well. Homeschooling and, you know, education in general involves a lot of reading, right? So it makes sense that I would spend quite a bit of time on the subject of books. But there are so many ways that you can get books for free. And so audiobooks are another option. You can do a membership through Audible, which is through Amazon, or you can do a free audiobook version, and that is LibriVox. And I only recently started getting into LibriVox because I had been using e-audiobooks from my library. But some of the books that I needed for Ambleside Online, they didn't have at my library in audio format or in general. And so Ambleside Online actually recommends LibriVox. And so I went and downloaded the app on my phone and am able to access so many books free through audio. It's amazing. So sometimes audiobooks are just a better way to receive the information or the story itself than reading it out loud. For example, part of our Ambleside Online curriculum for year 1 is to read the Just So stories by Rudyard Kipling. And I accessed that book for free on my Kindle and was reading it off of Kindle. But the way it is written and the way I read it, it made it difficult for me to read. It made it difficult for my children to hear. And all of us together, we just couldn't process it. So I went to my library and found an audio version of the book on my app, the ebook, audiobook, e-audiobook, there you go, and downloaded it, and we listened to it in the car, and it was such a better experience for us. We could hear the story, someone else was reading it, and they already knew the nuances of the language and how things were spoken, and so it just made it so much better for us, and we were able to listen to all of the stories in no time at all. And this book is something that's spread out over the whole year for Ambleside Online Year 1. So sometimes you have to just try different means of hearing a story or reading a story, because it could help in the long run. So different ways to save on books. Another way that you can save on books is obviously buying your books at discount. So half-price books or thrift books online, or there's garage sales. Go look at garage sales, or we have a lot of them in our city. What are they called? The Little Free Library. So you take a book and leave a book. A lot of people leave good books in those little free libraries, and so all you do is just bring a book you're not reading often, or it's just kind of lived its life at your house, or maybe you bought it and you realized you don't like it that much. Turn it into the Little Free Library and exchange it for one that you do. And so the Little Free Libraries are obviously hit or miss on what they have available, because it depends entirely on who brings what in and all of that. But I found some golden nuggets through the Little Free Libraries around our city. So go ahead and check that out and save a little money that way by trading books. Another way you can save money on homeschooling costs in general is by grouping your subjects and your kids together. So if you have kids close in age that can study the same subject matter at the same time, then do it. Only buy one curriculum for that subject and have them study it together. That's what I plan to do with all three of my children, really. They're only all 2 years apart, so it's gonna work out that way. And even if it doesn't, I can make something more rigorous for my oldest and make something more less rigorous for my youngest, if it comes to that. But you can really, you can pair up or pair down based on your children's ages. Now, if they are like, far and wide apart, then that doesn't necessarily work, but there are such thing as family subjects. You can study history together. You can study science together. There are subjects that naturally just go together. If you're studying literature, you can read the same books together during morning time or during a read aloud time. So whenever you can, group your kids together and have them study the same subjects, so that you don't have to buy individual curriculum for each and every child, especially if you have a big family. That'll save you money, a lot of money. And then of course, you can always reuse curriculum. So of course you need to pay attention to copyright laws and stuff, but I know that for example, you buy level 1 handwriting for your oldest, and before they write in it, you make a copy of all of those pages and then save it for the next child. And then they can work through the copied pages, and then if you have another child, copy that one and then work through the next pages, and then so on and so forth. And that way you can save money on curriculum that way. So some companies do allow that just by, in your own home. Obviously you can't copy and resell, that would be illegal. But there are times where you can reuse curriculum. So definitely check into that and see if that is an option for you based on the curriculum that you use. You can save yourself a lot of money that way. And then of course, there's all sorts of material that is free online for as an educational resource. My second oldest son, I don't actually homeschool him. He's public schooled, but he has been interested in learning algebra. He's in the 5th grade. He's not doing algebra yet, but he wants to learn it. And so I got him set up with Khan Academy online. It's free, and he is able to take lessons and do practice pages of algebra, and he's having the time of his life. It's so cute. He just suddenly got this urge to learn algebra and has been following this course through Khan Academy, totally free online, and he's giving himself a leg up in his public school studies because he hasn't even reached that concept yet in his own grade level math classes. So there's Khan Academy, there are, I can't think of the other ones right now. Obviously you can utilize YouTube. I do it often for preschool grade work or preschool level material. We watch the ABCs, we learn about the 1, 2, 3s and all that stuff through videos on YouTube. So that's a fun way to incorporate educational material into your homeschool. That's totally free. And then of course there's Pinterest. Pinterest is just like amazing for the home educator these days. There are so many hardworking bloggers out there who are creating content and material oftentimes totally free just for an exchange for your email. And so they have free worksheets and printables that you can print off at home and do with your family. I relied on that exclusively for my oldest when I was working out our math curriculum and deciding what I wanted to do with him. I printed off a free packet online. God bless you. I printed out a free packet online, just gave them my email and got this huge packet of math for kindergarten, first grade level work, and just had him work through that while I was still figuring out what curriculum I wanted to use for where he was at and things. And so that can be super helpful. I'm sure you can put together a full like K through 12 experience or educational experience with all of the resources and things that are available through Pinterest, through blogs and all the other, various platforms, online platforms out there. So there is a ton of stuff available to you these days to really reduce your costs when it comes to homeschooling. And then of course, like I said, there's that, there's the maintaining. Once you have purchased your material, it's just a matter of maintaining the things that run out or get used up, like crayons, markers, pencils, all that kind of stuff. So it costs upfront, but in the long run, if you're talking 12 years of just one student, it won't be $600 every year. I'm pretty sure it will gradually reduce over time. And so that is how much homeschooling costs, and quite a few ways you can save lots of money. And if you are homeschooling, you can get it deducted on your taxes. Don't ask me how that works. My husband does all of our taxes and stuff. But if you save receipts, if you keep track of how much you spend in a given school year for your homeschool, then you can get it deducted on your taxes. So talk to your, tax person about that and see if that's an option for you. Be sure and look into that, because that's way over my head, but my husband's mentioned it before, so I'm pretty sure you can do it. So that is how much homeschooling costs and how you can save money homeschooling every year. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, if it helped, if it gave you any ideas, be sure and hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the little bell icon so that you'll be notified of my newest videos, and I will see you in the next one.